Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Smurf Girl. So I want to talk about the God Jehovah. When it corresponds to, in Freemasonry, their God name. Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Smurf Girl. So I want to talk about the God Jehovah. When it corresponds to, in Freemasonry, their God name is Jehovah. But then in the Jehovah's Witness religion, their God is named Jehovah as well. And so what I want to do is a side-by-side comparison of the two and how they correlate to each other. And so what I first want to start with is the Masonic God Jehovah. Who exactly is he? And so what I want to start with is just the term God, because you do have to connect a few dots, because there are levels in Masonry where they reveal a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit somewhere else, where then you connect the dots and you connect it all together. So that's what I want to do. And first they have, it's the G-O-D. Like when Jeffrey Jackson during the Australian Royal Commission called themselves the Guardians of Doctrine, the G-O-D here, it's the Hebrew words wisdom, strength, and beauty is what God means. But then farther down, the actual word of God, it says right here, the religion of Freemasonry is cosmopolitan, universal, but the required belief in God is not incompatible with this universality, for it is the belief of all peoples. Be assured that God is equally present with the pious Hindus in the temple, the Jew in the synagogue, and the Mohammedan in the mosque, and the Christian in the church, where God is known as the deity. He's a universal God. So the one God that they worship represents all gods, and his name is Jehovah. And so in volume 2, you look under unity of God, and it says in the popular mythology of the ancients, there were many gods. And it was to correct this false opinion and to teach a purer theology that the initiations were invented. The famous secret of the mysteries was the unity of the Godhead. This too is the doctrine of Masonic initiation, which is equally distant from the blindness of atheism and the folly of polytheism, where all gods are united as one, no matter which religion you are, whether it be satanic or Christian or Hindu or Buddhist or whatever. It's a universal deity, and his name is Jehovah. And like I've read before, under the name Jehovah, it says Jehovah is, of all the significant words of Freemasonry, by far the most important. It's the basis of our dogma and of our mysteries. Well, the most important definition is right here, where Jehovah is known as the universal sovereign. You've heard that in Jehovah's Witness doctrine before, but there's the great architect of the universe, and there it talks about the deity, where it says the title applied in the technical language of Freemasonry to the deity. He's also known as the grand architect of the universe, but he's known as the divine being, the master builder, or Jehovah, where he's the deity. So he's the great architect of the universe. And when you look up on the internet who the great architect of the universe is, this is the great architect of the universe. Whether it's to represent Jesus, so he's got the Masonic compass, the all-seeing eye, Baphomet, as above, as below. The great architect of the universe is a Masonic term, 100%. That's all you will find. Search the great architect of the universe. That is all you're going to see, 100%. So what would it say under the Jehovah's Witness religion? It's right here. Here is the 5/22/1970 awake. How marvelously the great architect of the universe implanted in men so greatly a variety of capabilities, where they're talking about the eye eye-catching architecture of ancient and modern times, where they're even using that term, the eye-catching architecture, where they're talking about building. Literally, that's what Masonry is about, is building and architecture. And it's saying that the great architect of the universe implanted in men such a great capability of, and it says right here, it is not a case of simply piling stone on stone. No, there are other considerations: beauty, symmetry, that perfection of balance that must appear in the completed structure. They're talking about the Parthenon of Greece, this whole entire article. And they're showing, as we gaze upon the eye-catching productions of the architects of the present and the past, we do well to dismiss from mind the petty vanity of men. Consider rather how marvelously the great architect of the universe implanted in men so great a variety of capabilities. This is a 100% Freemason article. Modern eye catchers. As we just saw, when we looked up the great architect of the universe, we see continually the all-seeing eye, over and over and over again. And this is in a Awake magazine. And then they go on and they talk about how Jehovah is the great architect. He's the master architect, over and over and over again. Search the term great architect. Jehovah is known as the great architect, where it says the great architect of change, Jehovah God. The great architect, over and over and over again. And you may think, well, that's just a coincidence, right? Well, how I said how in Freemasonry, he's also known as the universal sovereign. Where this, right here, the universal sovereign, you search it, all these symbols come up. I'll click on one. This is the universal sovereign. This is Jehovah, according to Freemasonry, where you see all the different symbols and deities representing that God. See the snake going around there. This is representing all gods and the God of Freemasonry. He is the universal sovereign. You can constantly see just over and over. There's the winged sun disk. Unfortunately, right there, that's the universal sovereign. When you look it up, the twin pillars of Freemasonry. So let's look on jw.org, the Washer Online Library. We're going to look up universal sovereign on there, where it says Jehovah God is sovereign Lord, the universal sovereign. The universal sovereign, Jehovah God, Jehovah as God and universal sovereign without self-interest. That's the Insight book, or Man's Salvation book. The universal sovereign Jehovah. Continually, you've heard it continually. Well, let's look, we'll uncheck everything over here. Let's just check Bibles. Is universal sovereign a Bible term? No. Universal sovereign is not in the Bible. Because this is the universal sovereign. It's Masonic. It would never, ever be in the Bible. But that's not all. If you look under Grand Master, the term Grand Master it's either a master chess player or it's the head of an order of chivalry of Freemasons. That's the only two definitions for a Grand Master. If you search on jw.org, on the Washer Online Library, you will see that they refer to Jehovah as the Grand Master. As Israel's father and Grand Master, Jehovah deserved the very best. That's the kingdom ministry. Continually, they even put it in their Bible in Malachi. They put it in Hosea as well. Just go on and search Grand Master. I'll put a link to it in the video description. I'll put all of these things in the video description. Where these are 100% Masonic terms. As you saw, I looked up the great architect of the universe. And they're using that to define that term, to define that God they're using in reference to Jehovah. These things the Jehovah's Witness religion is using in reference to their God. What I want to show you is I know that they used to have on the old watchtower the cross and crown. Think, well, they don't use Masonic symbols anymore, do they? This one right in front that no one ever knows about. This right here. That diamond right there. On the Bible. When you go into a Masonic lodge, there's a Bible open in every single lodge, and they have a compass and square on top of it. And this one has a diamond on it. Well, that's very important. This is the diamond symbol. This is the universal symbol for alchemy, occult, Masonic alchemy, which the Watchtower incorporates and Masons incorporate with the Bible, the spirit-directed channel of communication, things like that. And I'll read this to you. To the alchemists, the diamond gemstone was seen as the most important building block of life, as it is made purely from carbon. It can relate to everything around us, as carbon is the base element of most matters. The gemstone was seen in many different ways. Some saw it symbolic of vision and clarity. Some saw it as a spiritual awareness and your choices and actions being reflected within life itself, like that spirit-directed channel of communication they use to procure that spiritual food. That's what they're talking about. The vision and clarity and the spiritual light. Practically, the diamond was used for bending and refracting light and was symbolized as a journey, where it's saying, they say new light all the time in Watchtower Doctrine. New light. That's what that diamond symbol symbolizes. Alchemy and occult light. It says it was symbolized as a journey, and the way the light made its journey through the diamond, claiming the path will not always be easy or direct, and like a labyrinth, as many twists and turns. Have you ever found more of a labyrinth of twists and turns than you do in the Jehovah's Witness doctrine throughout the years? I want to show you the definition of modern alchemy right here. Today, new interpretations of alchemy are still perpetuated, sometimes merging in concepts from New Age or radical environmentalism movements. Groups like the Rosicrucians and Freemasons have a continued interest in alchemy and its symbolism. Since the Victorian revival of alchemy, occultists reinterpreted alchemy as a spiritual practice involving the self-transformation of the practitioner, and only incidentally or not at all the transformation of laboratory substances, which has contributed into a merger of magic and alchemy in popular thought. Where before, alchemy used to be seen as transmitting and transferring gold, but now in modern day it's used in occult ways of spirit-directed channels of communication and communicating with demons and magic through Freemasonry, which is exactly what Watchtower is doing. They have incorporated a Masonic God. That means he causes to become. He causes everything to become, good and evil. It doesn't say. He just causes things to become. And they have their Bible with a symbol for alchemy, for Masonic, occult alchemy on their Bible. And here is a Masonic Bible. This is the compass and square. Usually it'll be open, I think, to Ezekiel or Kings, and they'll have the compass and square on it, inside every single lodge. And that's what's going on in the Jehovah's Witness religion, where they have blatantly and on purpose used specific occult terms that exactly what the Freemasons say about their God represents all deities, whether it be Baphomet, Lucifer, the God of the Jewish Bible, the Christian Bible, the God of the Hindus, everything. Buddhists, Muslims. It doesn't matter. That's who Jehovah is. And when they call him the great architect of the universe and he's the deity, he's the master builder, he's the great architect. That is exactly what that Awake magazine said. And they even referenced the all-seeing eye, the eye-catching architecture, ancient and modern. Is there, where it says with complete symmetry of plan, is there any doubt of what God the Jehovah's Witnesses are worshiping? I highly doubt it. So anyway, I hope that this is eye-opening, to say the least. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.